Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. I'm a 38-year-old man. I lost my business. I lost my family's trust. But I didn't lose my will to rise again. This channel is my way of standing back up. And today, I want to share with you the story of another man. One who fell hard and got back up even harder. Who is Robert Downey Jr.? He was born in 1965, in the chaotic yet creative heart of New York City. Robert Downey Jr. was raised in a home where mornings started late and nights belonged to film sets. His father was a rebellious filmmaker, his mother, an actress. From a young age, Robert was immersed in the world of cinema. But behind the scenes, there was no fairy tale. There was turbulence, loneliness, and early shadows. At just 6 years old, Robert was introduced to marijuana by his own father. It wasn't cruelty, it was ignorance, masked as bonding. Years later, he would say, "Doing drugs with my dad was his way of expressing love." He was lost in his own way. That moment didn't just alter his childhood, it rewrote his future. In his teenage years, Robert's talent began to shine. He could transform himself in front of the camera like no one else. By the late 80s and early 90s, he was one of Hollywood's rising stars. But the roles he played, troubled youth, addicts, broken souls, were often mirrors of his real life. Fame didn't silence his demons, it fed them. He sought affection in substances, tried to fill the void with alcohol, cocaine, heroin, and every day he lost a little more of himself. By the mid-90s, his name was everywhere, but not for the right reasons. In 1996, he was arrested for driving naked under the influence, hallucinating, throwing imaginary rats out of his car. Days later, he was found passed out in a stranger's child's bed. He entered rehab, relapsed, got arrested again. The cycle repeated. Hollywood turned its back. Producers stopped calling. The industry whispered one phrase over and over again. He used to be a star. The most painful part? His young son, Indio, barely knew him, except through headlines and mugshots. In 1999, Robert was sent to prison. There, in the stillness of a prison cell, he faced himself. Not the actor, not the addict, just the man. Alone, stripped of fame, without filters. He once said, "Being in prison felt like being sent to another planet, where I didn't understand the language or the rules." That was his lowest point. But buried deep within, something remained. A spark. When he was released, something unexpected happened. He met Susan Levin, a strong and grounded film executive. Robert fell in love, but Susan was firm. "I won't be with you unless you get clean. Completely." For the first time, Robert made a decision not for fame, not for a role, but for love, for his son, for himself. He went sober. He cut ties with toxic people. He fought the urges. He faced the storms inside his own mind. It wasn't easy, but this time, it was real. And then came 2008. Marvel took one of the biggest gambles in Hollywood history. They cast Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Studios protested, "He's unstable, unreliable." But director Jon Favreau believed differently. Robert is Tony Stark. His flaws, his genius, his redemption, it's all real. The film was released, and the world didn't just watch Iron Man. They witnessed a resurrection. A man who had once been lost became a symbol of strength, transformation, and growth. Millions loved him. Billions watched his films. But more importantly, he became a hero to his son. He married Susan, built a family, and finally, found peace. At night, he no longer reached for a bottle. He held his child. Robert never forgot where he came from. Instead of hiding his past, he used it as a bridge. He began hiring former addicts and ex-convicts on his film sets. He supported rehabilitation centers. He offered second chances to those no one else would trust. In 2021, he launched the Footprint Coalition, an initiative aimed at solving global environmental problems using advanced technology. From AI-powered farming to ocean cleanup projects, Robert started investing his time and money to heal not just people, but the planet. He once said, "I used to live for myself. Now I live to make every moment meaningful for others." He's no longer just a star. He's a mentor, a philanthropist, a man of substance. The world once gave up on him, but he didn't give up on himself. And now, he refuses to give up on others. Robert Downey Jr.'s story isn't a Hollywood script. It's the raw, aching truth of a man who shattered into pieces and chose to rebuild himself. Not with metal, but with will. This isn't the story of Iron Man. This is the story of iron resolve. As I tell Robert's story, I can't help but think of my own. There was a time when everything around me fell apart. My business collapsed. My relationships with my family broke down. Even my bond with my wife faded. I felt like I had lost everything. But one day, I looked in the mirror and realized I had one thing left, the choice to start over. And that day, I made a decision. Not for money, not for status, for myself. I'm still on this journey, but today, I'm a man who stands up and walks again. Have you ever had a moment in life when you hit rock bottom? When you felt like even you gave up on yourself? That moment, that is your turning point. Don't forget, only in the dark do stars begin to shine. Robert was alone, just like I was. But in that loneliness, a spark was lit. That same spark led me to create this channel. I tell these stories for men who've been through the same dark tunnel. Because sometimes, loneliness isn't the end. It's the beginning. Sometimes, a man is born again in silence. I'm not Robert, but like him, I've fallen. And like him, I've chosen to rise again. If you're still searching for yourself in this world, know this: you are not alone. This channel exists for you, because the man inside you is still waiting to be awakened. I am the man who woke up in loneliness, and this is only the beginning.